This person took Uber or Lyft a couple days ago, and she had a life-threatening issue. So we're going to unpack this video a little bit and see what are some of the safety techniques you can use to make sure that you stay safe when you're taking Lyft or Uber. So let's listen to her story.
I get into this Uber with this woman, and she starts taking a super weird route.
Okay, as soon as that happens, you press the emergency SOS button that's in both Uber and Lyft apps. Now, in fact, before you even get into your Uber or Lyft, you want to take a picture of the driver and of the car's license plate. Now, when the driver sees you doing this, they are going to be a lot more cautious of pulling something illegal with you.
Did not make sense where she was going, but I was like, maybe like she's taking back streets. I'm not sure what was happening.
So you can be sure of what is happening because in your app, it tracks, it shows a path from point A to point B where you've been picked up and where you're going to be dropped off. And so if the driver deviates from the path, you can track it, you can monitor it. And then immediately you ask the driver, hey, you've deviated from the path. Are you going to get back or not? You're not following the route. Now, she mentions that she was drunk, so she probably wasn't fully there. Or even if she is fully cognitively there, maybe she just didn't realize she could follow it. So I'm letting you all know you can and should follow the route, know what roads they're taking. And if they deviate, immediately tell them, hey, you're off track. Get back. You have 3 seconds, or else I'm going to call 911. Okay.
All of a sudden, I end up at Miami International Airport. Okay. There's no like way that like that's a stop on the way to my house. Number one. Number two, if you work at an airport or if you know about airports, you know that that's not like an area that you pass through. Like that's
Yeah, so don't wait this long, right? As soon as you realize this driver has deviated from their route, you hit the emergency SOS button, which contacts the company and gives you the option to call 911. Now, some people have mentioned in the comments that, oh, if you're a sex worker or if you're an illegal immigrant, then you can't call 911, and that's a limitation or restriction. Now, I looked at her TikTok profile, and there were some posts about taking LSATs, which is a law school exam, and some other things. So I don't think, from just gathering some data, that it's likely that she's either illegal immigrant or a sex worker. So, but even then, if you don't call 911, there's a lot of other things you can do. You can yell, scream, force the driver to stop. You can still notify Uber and Lyft.
that's you're gonna go to the airport for a reason. So I really do believe that I was in a situation where I was about to get human trafficked. So because
I want to address this because there were some comments in her post that mentioned maybe she was wrong, maybe she misunderstood, maybe there was a person the driver needed to pick up at the airport. Now, here's something in Karen's defense. Trust your intuition. Your intuition is right when it comes to threats. And the reason people are saying these things is that we need a reason, we need a way to justify why certain things happen a certain way. We need logic to explain it, because saying or believing that taking Uber or Lyft could lead you to be human trafficked in Miami and Florida, and it's such an outrageous thing to believe in that we don't want to believe in it. We don't want to believe. We want to believe our world is safe. Our world is. We have certain preconceptions, and we don't want that fragile house we've built to break down. So we try our best. It's just a psychological reaction. It's very normal. It's not that they're trying to actively tell you that you're wrong. They're just trying to preserve themselves. It's a self-preservation act. It's all about themselves when they're telling that you could be wrong. It's not about you. So I hope Karen didn't take that to heart and start second guessing herself, which doesn't seem like she did, because she posted a second video explaining that no, she was not wrong. She's pretty sure she's right. And there's other signs as she talks about things in this video that show that this driver was definitely a predator. And we're going to talk about those signs. And of course, from the commenter's perspective, when you see videos like this and you have the urge to comment and say, no, 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 wait, maybe you could be wrong. Do you think you could be wrong? Understand that this is coming from a psychological reaction of self-preservation, that you need to do this so that the world can go round again and everything can feel right in your mind. Otherwise, everything has come crashing down, right? Understand that this is what's happening in your head and deal with it. and talk about it, speak about it out loud. Hey, I am catching this. I'm understanding that this is happening. At the same time, I'm choosing to not post a comment. Okay. So refrain from posting a comment, but because you don't know if she's right or wrong. And if she's right and you're putting these ideas of self-doubt unintentionally, then what happens over time is that people like her will start second guessing themselves and will take longer and longer to react to an unsafe situation, which can be life threatening. So please don't post these kinds of comments.
I'm realizing this. I start calling my friend on the phone.
Don't ever call your friend. Our friends, we rely on our friends for so many things, advice, for help, for all sorts of things. They cannot help you in this situation. You need to call 911. You need to call the authorities. So don't rely on your friends. Don't call your friends. A classic mistake we make, even when we're being followed or something's happening, where any unsafe situation, we call our family, our friends. That is not the right approach. And they don't know how to actually get you to safety anyway. They might give you some advice, and that may or may not be right. It may be a terrible advice. So please don't do that. Please, next time you're in such a situation, call 911. There are very rare people out there who can't call 911. In fact, I have worked with law enforcement officers, and in most parts, especially in most liberal states, they will not ask you if you are an undocumented worker, if you're a legal immigrant, illegal immigrant. They do not ask these questions. By law, they're required to not ask these questions. So they cannot legally ask these questions. They just have to show up, help you, and even if they suspect something might be off of the immigration status or not, doesn't matter. They cannot ask these questions. They will not ask these questions. So I know this, at least it's true in Washington, California, and I believe it is true in Florida too, because they know that a lot of crimes happen with folks who are illegal immigrants or undocumented workers, and they want to just do their duty and help as opposed to make things worse. And they want people to trust law enforcement, so they don't ask.
And I'm like, I feel in a very unsafe situation. And I asked the lady while I'm on the phone with my friend, I'm like, I feel that I'm like, ma'am, like, why? What's up with the GPS in Spanish? And she's like, stays quiet. My heart sank. My heart dropped. I was like, no.
Once again, right? Don't wait this long. It's a common psychological reaction. We try to justify it to ourselves. And no, I must be mistaken, right? It's the same kind of thing the commenters are doing. Same thing is happening in our own minds. Okay, I must be mistaken, So knowing and training ourselves to say, if I feel unsafe and if things don't go this way, I will contact. You have to train this in your mind. Say, when I take Uber or Lyft, I take a picture of the driver, of the license plate, I get in, I don't make conversation. If they're off track, I tell them to get on track. I give them 3 seconds. And all of this needs to be trained. And if they don't get on track, or if they try to make an inappropriate conversation, which is this or this, or if they pick up a passenger, or if, right, have this list, say you're going to hit the emergency SOS button. And it's best to call 911, contact the authorities at Uber and Lyft, and then be wrong, than not take that risk and then be right that you're in an unsafe situation. Again, I have worked with law enforcement officers, so they always say this. If you're not sure, just call us. And if you were wrong, that's okay. We'll still come out, we'll still make sure you're safe. I understand that a lot of people don't believe that. And it depends from state to state and what kind of law enforcement is in what kind of area. I understand that.
It was like a movie. Like, I generally, I have goosebumps. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm freaking out. Long story short, I ended up asking her again. I'm on the phone with my friend. And she's like, oh, I don't know. This is like the route that it's taking me on. And we're like entering like departures and arrivals. I literally.
Once again, you can track what route Uber or Lyft showed and if she's taking it or not. So you can challenge her on this.
Manually unlocked the car, hopped out of the car and start running. I'm on the phone with my friend Andrea. I was like, you need to get somewhere where like there's people, The lady starts chasing me in her car. She's like, I have 4 kids, like, you're safe, like, you're safe with me. And I'm like, if you don't get away from me, I'm gonna fucking call 911 right now.
Okay, so this is a classic trick predators use, where they will tell you and show you how and why they're safe. So think about it this way. If you're an average person going about your day, let's say you are a Lyft driver. Let's say you decided to do it part-time to make some cash. You're driving and somebody gets out of your car and screams, ah, oh my God, why are you taking me here? And you were just following the route. What would your reaction be? You would be shocked. You'd be surprised. You'd be confused. You say, wait, what happened? what happened here? Wait, what happened? Even if you follow them in the car, you'd say, whoa, wait, this is my first day driving Lyft. I'm sorry for doing whatever I did. Can you please explain what I did? You're not going to say, I have 4 kids. I'm safe. You're not going to say these things. Only predators say these things. And this has happened over and over again. People who rape, rapists, they say this also. Oh, look, I'm married. Oh, by the way, I have an 8-year-old daughter. If they randomly start talking about these things and then it says, oh, please sit in my car, I'll take you somewhere. You know what's happening, right? So understanding these patterns, identifying them. So now that she said this, I know the chances that this driver is a predator is very, very highly likely. Because otherwise people don't say this. It doesn't make sense for you to say, I have 4 kids, you're safe with me. That doesn't make sense at all. Think about it, any situation. Yes, if you are a teacher and if you have a 5-6-year-old child in your classroom who's panicking and screaming and hiding in a corner, you might come and say, hey, look, this is my badge. I'm a teacher. I'm safe. You're safe with me. That's an exception to the scenario. Usually you don't do that. Usually if you're an average person living your average life and somebody screams that you're a kidnapper, you're kidnapping me, you would just be confused. Your reaction is not, but I'm married, but I have 4 kids. That's not a typical human reaction.
I end up seeing like the parking department of the airport, and the security guard was like, is everything okay? Like, it seemed like if you got into a fight with a boyfriend. I'm like, no, that was Uber. And he was like, do you live like by the airport? I go, no, I live in Miami Lakes. He was like, there's a lot of human trafficking that happens, and like there's airport hotels. Like, she probably was gonna take you to an airport hotel. Long story short, I'm home and I'm safe and God was with me today. But I wanted to share this video because you don't know like who's out there and what the heck is going on. And statistically, Miami is one of the hotspots for human trafficking. And I'm really blessed that I'm okay and I'm safe. But just please be careful. If you're gonna get an Uber, make sure you're with someone. And just like, please be safe.
So she mentions that getting into Uber or Lyft with another person is better than getting into it alone. Now, I'm not going to talk about whether this is correct or if it's not correct. Just know that this is not coming from an expert advice. So I would encourage you to look at advice by experts and what they say about what are the chances. Are your chances higher to be in an unsafe situation if you're alone? Are your chances lower if you're with another person or there's not enough data, right? So do some research around that. But what I'm going to say is this. The focus shouldn't be whether you're alone or with someone else. Women get told this a lot, often, where, okay, there are a lot of predators out there. They attack women. Women get attacked. So don't travel alone. Be with someone. And it gets annoying. It gets very redundant, and we don't want to hear it. I'm an independent person. I can travel alone. I can take a Lyft, Uber alone. I travel for business. I take planes, flights everywhere. Sometimes I red eye. I mean, if you give keynote speeches, you don't have an option to travel with someone a lot of times. And even if you have an option, you just want to be independent. So that is not the solution we should focus on, always having somebody with us. Yes, if it's an option, go for it, absolutely. But what I want you to focus on is being safe and doing techniques that make you safe, right? So you're alone. What are some things you can do? Body language, voice, pictures, all these things you can do to be safe. That is what I want you to focus on.